the situation became quite critical. Land out, start the engine or find lift again. Alright everybody, welcome back to my channel and this video. Today's task is from our home airfield, crossing the area to the Alps and landing at Niederöblarn airfield. You already see to the north very well looking clouds, so I expect good thermals there. But let's turn to our goal, to our destination. One day in summer 2021. My club is going to Niederöblarn airfield in the heart of the Austrian Alps to do a mountain flying camp. As I prefer to fly instead of driving a car with a trailer, I wanted to do a cross-country flight with my club colleague Florian in order to land in Niederöblarn in the evening. The airline distance is only about 100 kilometers, but there is a big hurdle in between. We need to cross the Danube valley to get into the Alps, where hardly any thermals can be found. There are different preferred ways to accomplish a crossing from my home airfield. The best chances arise about 50 kilometers east of Linz, where the distance without thermals is only about 35 kilometers. The challenge is to start from a lower terrain in the north of the Danube River, fly in a continuous descent into rising terrain and arrive in a suitable altitude to find lift again. We thought that this was going to be the hardest challenge on that day, but it all came differently. Finally, we took off at about midday. My goal was to cross the Danube at about 3 p.m. to have the best time of the day. Until then, we first started to fly to the northwest to extend the distance flown. This is our racetrack route, and there were already nice cumulus clouds developing everywhere. Sieht doch gleich besser aus. Ja, definitiv. Passing the highest mountain in Bavaria, the Big Arbor, we turned around and headed to the Danube crossing point. In the vicinity of the area where I wanted to cross the Danube Valley, we found a good lift and made maximum altitude. Afterwards we headed straight to the south in direction of the Alps. Now the crucial point directly ahead of us. We have to cross the Danube Valley to get to the Alps. We made maximum altitude now, and now we have the long glide towards the Alps. And hopefully we reach them in a sufficient altitude. Exciting. On the way to the south, some small fractions of cumulus clouds were indicating some rising air, but we could not really find a suitable lift there and had to continue to the south. Far in the distance we could already see the mountains of the Alps, but slowly we got lower and lower. At some point we arrived at the first hills of the Alps, but there were still no cumulus clouds showing us any signs of lift, and the air was totally smooth. We needed to find a thermal to get higher again. Flying so low reduces the chances to find lift further. Shortly before switching to plan B, we finally found a thermal. We were so lucky. We took it for several hundred meters and thought that from now on the flight should be easy. But soon we realized that the conditions weren't as good as expected. We could not climb much higher than the ridges were, which makes mountain flying even more difficult. We continued towards Niederöblarn, but came lower and lower again. In the area of Admont, the situation became quite critical. We had to make a decision: land out, start the engine or find lift again. In the last second the barometer began to indicate a small amount of lift, while flying only 400 meters above ground level. It was our last hope, so we paid full attention to keep at least our altitude and gain time. We were really stuck in this position for almost half an hour. We could only make 200 meters of altitude during that time. Then the lift zeroed and we had to continue in this low altitude. Some kilometers after, we were stuck again and had to fight against the abortion of the flight. Until today I cannot say where this lift came from. We were too low for mountain thermals, and it was in my opinion too early for inverted thermals, which can occur in the Alps later in the evening. Another half an hour passed until we were forced to proceed. At least we knew we could make it to Eigen airfield. From there it is only a stone's throw to our destination, Niederöblarn airfield. Since some time I recognized an easterly wind. At the same time Niederöblarn was reporting light northwesterly wind, so I assumed that there could be a convergence lift to find somewhere. And indeed, shortly after passing Eigen airfield, the barometer started to indicate rising air again. A little lift turned into a good one of up to 3 meters per second. After a long fight, we succeeded and were infinitely happy. Our club colleagues greeted us in the air.
Up in the air again.
Later on, I wondered what exactly caused the lift. Besides of the explanation with convergence, it could have also been wave. Directly north of Niederöblarn, there is a Grimming mountain located. And this one is known to generate waves even at low wind speed coming from the northwest. At the end of the flight, we reached the highest altitude of the whole day. As it was so hard to achieve, we extended our flight in the inverted thermals along the Enns Valley. Short before sunset, we turned around and headed back for a landing at Niederöblarn airfield. What a great flight has come to its end.
Yes!
Here we are, finally we managed to land here at Niederöblarn airport. It was a tough fight. Now we are here and the sun is setting. And thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video.